Welcome back to my channel. Today I am covering another solved murder case that took place in Swansea in 2018. This is episode 4 in my Swansea Murders series. If you haven't yet watched the previous episodes, you can find them on my channel. Before I begin, I would like to say that I mean no offense or upset to anyone involved in this case. All of the information I am using has come from several sources, and I have compiled them into one video. This is the case of Derek Potter, who murdered his wife Leslie Potter in April 2018, and then tried to cover up her death as a suicide. At the time this murder took place, Derek Potter was aged 64 and worked as a carpenter. His wife Leslie was 66 and worked as a market research agent, and they had been married for 26 years. They lived together in a house in Hill Street in Mumbles, and they had 2 daughters named Victoria and Nicole, and a son Adrian. Leslie was described by her family as having a strong character. She was a devoted mother and grandmother, and was excitedly awaiting the birth of another grandchild. On the 7th of April 2018, for an unknown reason, Derek flew into a fit of rage, and then strangled his wife Leslie using his hands, until she was dead. After he had killed Leslie, he stripped her naked, then laid her out in a bedroom. He then tied a piece of rope around her neck, and another piece on the wooden beam above her body, and put a knife on the floor. He then left the house to collect money that he was owed from a friend, before returning around half an hour later, and then calling 999 to inform them that he had discovered his wife's hanging body in their back bedroom. When emergency services arrived, he told them that he could not find a suicide note, and that his wife had been suffering from mental health issues, and that she had refused to get help from doctors for her anxiety. They found Leslie's body laid out in the bedroom. There was rope hanging from the beam above her, and there was a knife on the floor which Derek told them he had used to cut her down. Paramedics told police that it was very unusual to find a naked body in a hanging case. They added that when Derek had met them at the front door, he was not crying, he didn't appear to be upset, and that he seemed to be acting rationally. They commented that it was suspicious, but police did not act on this. Police spoke to Derek, and he told him that his wife had been feeling suicidal, but that he didn't think that she would go through with it. He told him that she suffered from severe arthritis, and said he understood her decision to commit suicide. Police seemed happy with the response he had given, and they treated the death as a suicide. As a result, the police medical examiner did not attend the scene. A scene of crime officer did attend, and took photos. Derek then began calling his family to let them know that Leslie had committed suicide. Leslie's body was taken to Morriston Hospital, but did not receive a full post-mortem examination, and her body was released to a funeral director shortly after, leaving the family to make the preparations for her funeral on May 8. 3 weeks after his wife's death, Derek asked his daughter's friend Natalia Mikhailovna Kiselevskaya to help him work on a roofing job that he was doing at the time, and she agreed. On the 25th of April, after work, they had both decided to go out for a drink together in the George pub in Mumbles. As the evening went on, Potter felt more at ease, and this is when he made a confession to Natalia that left her in complete shock. He told her that he had killed his wife, and that she did not commit suicide. He told her that he strangled her, and her last words she said to him were that she still had a crush on a schoolboy she'd known years ago. He told Natalia that he loved his wife very much, but he had to strangle her because she was doing his head in. Natalie thought that he must have been joking and said that she wasn't immediately worried about it. He told Natalia not to tell anyone, but said that even if she told his daughter, he wouldn't care. After he made this confession, he then asked Natalia to move in with him, as she had told him that she had been struggling to afford the rent at her current home. They both left the pub shortly before 9 p.m. Derek had lent Natalia a coat that evening, and the following morning she went to take it back to him, and to start work on the roof as normal. Having thought about the conversation overnight, Natalia asked him, "Do you remember what you told me last night?" To which he replied, "Yes, I remember everything." Natalia was reluctant to report him to the police, but after speaking with friends they had persuaded her to report him. The police asked Natalia why she hadn't come forward sooner, and she told him that at first she didn't want to get involved. She also said that when she looked back at the discussion that took place that night, she remembered that Derek kept a straight face whilst telling her, and that there were no tears or emotions in his eyes. She then came to the realization that he was telling the truth, and that he had actually killed his wife. This report came in just over a week before Leslie's funeral and cremation was due to take place. Derek thought that he had gotten away with the perfect crime, but this was all about to change. The investigation into Leslie's death was reopened as a murder investigation, and a full post-mortem examination was ordered by police. Her body was taken from the funeral home and transferred to a hospital in Cardiff. The result of this found that Leslie had sustained a number of injuries over her body. She had 30 rib fractures, internal injuries, severe bruising to the stomach cavity, surface bruising and various other unexplained marks on her body. Pathologists also determined that the strangulation marks were caused manually, and were not as a result of hanging. They also stated that these injuries were probably as a result of the weight of someone being on top of Leslie's body whilst she was strangled. Armed with this information, the police arrested Derek on the 30th of April 2018 on suspicion of murder. Derek started talking almost as soon as he got into the police car. He was telling them that Leslie had mental health issues, and stated that she had told him that she was going to kill herself, but he didn't think she was serious. He then told him that he had been the one that had put up the wooden beam, and that he had tied the rope ready for her to use, but said that he didn't think she would actually go through with it. The police stopped the car immediately and began writing down everything that he had said and then asked him to sign the statement 3 times.